Today in the EU, ALDE and Renew in the spotlight as they kick off their June electoral campaign. As European parties wrap up Congress season, Renew Europe is the last to go, convening today, 20th of March in Brussels, to unveil its platform and electoral programme. Who will step up as candidates, and what lies ahead for a party who is set to lose major ground in the upcoming European elections? Hello and welcome. I am Evi Chiori, and this is Today in the EU. To break down the nitty-gritty of the Congress, we're joined by Max Griera, Euractiv's network journalist. Hi Max, welcome back.
Hello, happy to be here for the second time.
Last time you were here, we touched a bit on the Renew file. Today is the day to actually unpack it. So let's get started with what is actually happening and what's the background.
We have two main events happening. On the one hand, during the day, we'll have the ALDE Congress. Basically, all the national parties that are part of ALDE will come together to discuss the final manifesto. And after that, we will have the Renew Europe Now platform launch, which, apart from ALDE, also includes the very small European Democratic Party, the French party Renaissance, which is not affiliated to any European level party. What is interesting here is that ALDE's Congress is also taking place behind closed doors.
What's with this choice of not inviting journalists in these congresses? Everyone knows that you, meaning journalists, will report on this regardless. So why the closed doors?
Well, what they say is that it's just because it's boring. They do have a point, I believe, because while, for example, the Greens, it was open to the press and they had grand speeches from representatives in the EPP. They also had prime ministers, leaders of opposition. Von der Leyen, of course, like very high-level people.
Roberta Metsola for skillfully leading the European Parliament, my friend Roberta. This is EPP leadership. We are the party of the people. And we deliver on what people care about.
Mentioned Ursula von der Leyen at the EPP convention in Bucharest earlier this month.
So it was interesting for press. Well, it's true that looking at the program of the ALDE Congress, it's just working session after working session.
Okay, so not much there.
So, yeah, there's not that much to report on. While the interesting part, it's afterwards the launch event, the Renew Europe platform, where we will have grand speeches from the lead candidates, from prime ministers, possibly.
So what's important for tomorrow then?
Tomorrow, ALDE continues the Congress because, apart from the electoral manifesto, they also need to approve their new values because they haven't touched them in 30 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
Yes.
The world has changed.
Exactly. So that's why they're convening for a second time tomorrow to approve the new values.
It does make sense. And the last time you joined us on the podcast, we talked a little bit about how the group is set to lose major ground in the upcoming European election. But how are they digesting this information?
Yes, indeed. So Renew is losing from 102 MEPs that they have now. Our projections say that they will go down to 86. Still, now they've recovered a bit more because there were some projections that saw them decreasing 20 seats. So let's see, but it seems set that they will lose some
I see you
seats.
already brought some new figures for us, so maybe you can spoil us a little bit on what happened.
What the figures say is that while the right wing, the far right, gains a lot, we've talked about this multiple times, Renew keeps losing, which means that it's likely that they will end up fifth force in the end.
And what actions are they taking? How are they addressing this downward trend?
There's different ways in which we're dealing with it. There's two national examples, I think, that are very interesting. So on the one hand, Ciudadanos, the Liberal Party in Spain, is completely out of the picture. However, they're still trying to revive. And one of the ways they're trying to do so is to run on a joint list with center-right Partido Popular in Spain, a party that is affiliated with the EPP.
Yeah.
That's also happening in Belgium. The two liberal parties, the French and the Flemish, Open VLD and Mouvement Réformateur, they're running also on a joint list to try, to gather all the forces.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, at the EU level, we have the different factions that are already preparing the electoral campaign. I know that, for example, ALDE will go to Budapest to really rally the troops for the Hungarian party Momentum.
Why is Budapest the city that they chose?
Yes, well, there's several. It's not the only one.
Okay.
So they're still deciding on the campaign. Probably Hungary, I've been told that it's going to be for sure one of them. They also want to do something in France. They might do something in Romania. How it will work is it depends in the national parties. Because now we're talking about ALDE, not Renew Europe now as a whole platform. The Euro Party only goes to countries where the National Party has asked for it. So it's not like ALDE decides where to go.
Yeah. So it's invited, actually.
Exactly. That's another way in which they will try to gain some claims, maybe.
And rumor has it that the group is not acting very united right now. I guess because there are many parties and a plurality of opinions. But can you tell us a bit more on this?
So, of course, party lines and party cohesion at the EU level is always more difficult. It's a lot of different views to bring together. And in the case of Renew, in the case of the Liberals, it's even more complicated because there's not this white umbrella European party bringing all these forces together, like it could be for the socialists or for the center-right, the EPP. Renew at the moment has three main factions, let's say, that come together under the Renew Europe umbrella. So on the one hand, you have ALDE, the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe, you have the European Democratic Party, and you have the French party Renaissance. But there's also some other non-inscrits parties within Renew, which adds to the complexity. So it's true that Renew is one of the groups in the European Parliament that struggles the most with keeping, cohesion.
Which doesn't seem odd at all because you have different parties with different interests as well.
Exactly. And whenever Renew cannot find a common stance, then they will have